So here's the whiteboard, that component that we just built. It's loaded, and notice that it's flush with the content. So we can start, applying our own styling for these components. For instance, we might put around this a div, right, and apply some bootstrap styling. Perhaps put here a class that is called container, or container fluid. Notice something here. Notice that it replaced for me the class, right? Replaced it with instead class name. See that? And it did it automatically for me. Now class is a keyword in JavaScript, right? So to avoid the collision of those keywords, instead React uses the keyword class name, right? But once it gets transpiled, right, it will be converted to just a plain old class. Okay. Also notice that if we reload that, notice that it added some margins on the left-hand side. If it's not fluid, then it'll add even more margins. Okay. Now it's centered on the page. One of the things to remember here is that the return, and this return is the return of this render function. Okay, so this render function is declared on the interface of the component here. Right, we are extending this class here, and we are overriding the render function of that raw component of this base component class. Right, and this is what the infrastructure is going to call, right, at each component to say, well, how do you want to be displayed on the screen? And then whatever that render returns is what will be used to render on the screen. Right? Before this return, you could do all sorts of computation, right? Do all sorts of calculations, go out to the server, go do all sorts of things, and then calculate what is it that you want to return here. But that's what gets rendered. Make sense? Right? Inside of this for loop, inside of these divs, you could put all sorts of for loops or if statements, all sorts of navigation, branching, right? And depending on the logic, you can render different things based on that logic, right? But the important thing is that it's part of the render function here. Also, another thing to keep in mind is that whatever the return returns, it can only return one single element, right? Inside of that element, you can put as much as you want, but it would be syntactically incorrect to put to do something like this, where you have two siblings, sibling elements at the top level. The top level always have to be just one element, and inside of that element, you could put could be as complex as you want. Everybody good? All right. Okay, so let's keep going. So we have the container. Let's start adding some content in there.